Bombshell reporting from the Wall Street Journal confirms that Vince McMahon has settled a lawsuit with former female WWE referee Rita Chatterton after long-time accusations of misconduct and abuse. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. And from the Wall Street Journal once again comes a big explosive story regarding WWE's recently returned executive chairman Vincent Kennedy McMahon, and it comes on the back of a long-time accusation made against him, and now one of his accusers, Vince McMahon, it has been confirmed, has actually had a settlement reached regarding a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. There's now a multi-million-dollar settlement, and certainly it's a massive story. So let's get straight into this. As I mentioned, it's big bombshell reporting coming from the Wall Street Journal, who writes, Vince McMahon, the executive chairman of World Wrestling Entertainment, has agreed to a multi-million-dollar legal settlement with former wrestling referee who accused him of sexual assault in 1986, according to people familiar with the agreement. Mr. McMahon's settlement with Rita Chatterton, completed last month, averts a legal public fight over her allegations as Mr. McMahon pursues a possible sale of the company. It's key there in that opening kind of part of this story that this settlement was actually completed and reached last month, most likely prior to the return of Vince McMahon, which again goes to show some premeditation and some calculation on the part of Vince McMahon and his attorney's point of view, because they wanted the settlement to be reached prior to coming back to WWE, once again becoming a public figure, once again pursuing a sale of the company, prior to getting back into a position of power within World Wrestling Entertainment, prior to returning as executive chairman, possibly in the future as the head of creative. We don't know. At the moment, it's still Paul Triple H Levesque. Possibly future CEO. At the moment, it's Nick Khan. He wanted to settle this lawsuit before he even returned. Now, Miss Chatterton, the first female referee of what was then known as the World Wrestling Federation, demanded $11.75 million in damages for the alleged assault in a November letter to Mr. McMahon's attorney, viewed by the Wall Street Journal. Again, interesting that this letter was posted to McMahon's attorney in November, and according to this report, by December, the dispute was settled. Now, Miss Chatterton agreed to a lesser amount in the millions of dollars, one of the people familiar with the matter said, but the Journal couldn't determine the exact figure. So again, she was demanding $11.75 million in damages. She received less in her settlement. How much less, we don't know. Quote, Mr. McMahon denies and always has denied assaulting Miss Chatterton, and he settled the case solely to avoid the cost of litigation, said Jerry McDivitt, a lawyer for Mr. McMahon. Miss Chatterton referred the Journal to her lawyer, John Clune, who declined to comment. WWE also didn't respond to requests for comment. The deal follows a $7.5 million settlement Mr. McMahon reached in 2018 with a former wrestler who alleged that he coerced her into giving him oral sex, as well as a 2022 agreement in which he agreed to pay $3 million to a former WWE employee with whom he allegedly had an affair. The Journal previously reported, citing people familiar with those agreements. Mr. McMahon has declined to publicly address the settlement. So what we're seeing here, guys, just to look back here, what we're seeing here is three separate agreements, three separate settlements totaling millions upon millions, most likely totaling tens of millions of dollars, all in a variety of accusations from, again, sexual assault, coercing into oral sex, just hush money payments to cover up affairs. And this guy wants to come back into the company and sell it for multi-billion dollar transaction. Now, WWE has declined to discuss the allegations against Mr. McMahon. The company previously said it was cooperating with a board inquiry into the payments and taking the claim seriously. Mr. McMahon contended in a 1993 lawsuit that Miss Chatterton was induced to make a false charge against him by a wrestler with an axe to grind. Mr. McMahon withdrew the lawsuit the following year, he said, to focus on defending against criminal steroid-related charges. He was acquitted of those charges in 1994. A New York law recently opened a one-year window that allows victims of sex crimes to file lawsuits that would otherwise be barred by the statute of limitations. Ms. Chatterton's attorney saw $11.75 million damages in a legal demand letter sent to Mr. McMahon's attorney in November, weeks before the window opened. The settlement provides Ms. Chatterton with a lump sum up front and annual installments, similar to Mr. McMahon's previous agreements with Women, the person familiar with the deal said. Mr. McMahon stepped down as the chairman and chief executive of WWE in July of last year after the Wall Street Journal reported 4 secret settlement payments he made to women who accused him of sexual misconduct. Mr. McMahon, the company's controlling shareholder, returned as WWE's executive chairman this past month and changed the company's bylaws to give him greater authority over its operations and pursue a possible sale of the business. WWE's board had resisted his return, saying in a December letter that continuing investigations by the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Justice Department into the secret payments by Mr. McMahon counselled against it. In the letter, the board said Mr. McMahon's return, quote, would not be prudent from a shareholder value perspective, end quote. It continues, this determination is based on a variety of factors, including non-public information the board has become aware of and the risk to the company and its shareholders of placing a greater spotlight on these issues, the letter said. Mr. McMahon replaced 3 independent board members to make room for himself and 2 former WWE executives. 2 other independent directors have since resigned, along with his daughter Stephanie McMahon, who had been co-chief executive with Nick Khan. Mr. Khan is now the company's sole chief executive officer. The Journal reported in December that Mr. McMahon was in talks with attorneys for Ms. Chatterton and a former spa manager who alleged Mr. McMahon assaulted her at a California resort in 2011, according to an email her lawyer sent to Mr. McMahon's lawyer. The Journal couldn't determine the status of the negotiations with the ex-spa manager. Ms. Chatterton alleged in televised interviews in 1992 that Mr. McMahon had told her she needed to satisfy him to obtain a $500,000 contract with his company and assaulted her in the back of a limousine in New York. Mr. Clune, Ms. Chatterton's lawyer, said in the November demand letter that Ms. Chatterton had passed a polygraph and that multiple sources corroborated her account, 2 of whom confirmed to the Journal that Ms. Chatterton contemporaneously told them about the alleged assault. An attorney for the former spa manager didn't respond to a request for comment. In the November 3rd legal demand, Mr. Clune wrote that the damage Ms. Chatterton had suffered from the alleged assault was hard to overstate, end quote. Ms. Chatterton, quote, had suffered years of ongoing depression, substance abuse, disordered eating, lost income, and overall decreased quality of life, Mr. Clune wrote. Now, it's interesting, certainly. I mean, there is so much to break down in that story, certainly. I think it's very, very interesting that just as Vince McMahon gains more and more power back in WWE and gains more and more authority back in the business, once again, what happens? The Wall Street Journal reports this story. And as John Alba wrote on Twitter, and I totally agree with him, he says, quote, fascinating, the Wall Street Journal has someone from the inside consistently leaking all this high-level information. And if you recall, it was the Wall Street Journal that broke all of this information in the first place. Arguably, it's the Wall Street Journal's reporting that really caused Vince McMahon to retire. That was the first sort of domino to fall last year, and it led to Vince McMahon's retirement. And the general consensus here is, and I don't think I'm speaking out of turn, but the general consensus and assumption is that somebody high up in WWE, most likely on the board of directors or possibly now no longer on the board of directors, is consistently leaking this information to the Wall Street Journal. That's the most likely scenario right now. What did the board of directors say to Vince McMahon in that letter when they sent back to him? If you come back, there are accusations that aren't made public right now that may be put out there. Greater spotlight might be put onto the company. Therefore, these things that people don't know about may be put out there. And let's call it for what it is. Whilst Vince McMahon was holding the company hostage, whilst he was holding the company to ransom, saying, if you don't let me come back, I'm not going to sign off and approve on any sale of the company. I'm not going to sign off or approve on any media rights negotiations. At the same time, the board of directors, feeling threatened about the situation, what did they do? They threatened him back. It was very, very simple. They threatened him back and basically said to him, look, if you come back to the company, there's other stuff we know. There have been ongoing investigations into your conduct. There have been independent investigations by this board, and we have found other stuff. We have found other settlements. We have found other accusations, and we're warning you Because we know he can't stop you. If Vince McMahon really wants to come back to the WWE, which he has, he could have done it. And he did it, and he could have done it at any time. But the board was saying to him, look, if you come back, just be prepared, because we found out other stuff, and that other stuff will start to see the light of day. And I think this is just the beginning. And it's fascinating, certainly, that a month prior to Vince McMahon coming back to WWE or signaling his intent to return to WWE, he settles this lawsuit. And look, I'm not going to sit here and say whether he's guilty or not of these accusations. I don't know. I'm not there. You can look into a settlement how you will. Some people will do it when they're innocent because they feel it's too much money, it's too much hardship, and it's too much to go through active litigation, and it would cost them too much, so they settle. Some people do it because they are guilty. I can't say what Vince McMahon is. That's not fair for me to say in this video. You can make your own determination on that. But it's certainly curious of the timing, no doubt about that. He settles that, and a month later, he says, I'm coming back to WWE. And now, just a mere, a few days, weeks after Vince McMahon's return to the company, another Wall Street Journal article drops. More information comes out. And make no mistake, this information, these accusations, if there is indeed more of them, which the letters from the board of directors hinted at, more will come out. This is just the beginning. I said this at the time when Vince McMahon returned to the board of directors. I said this is just the beginning of the drama. I still do think ultimately Vince McMahon will return as the CEO and the head of creative. Maybe the CEO is not as likely as the head of creative. So CEO, Nick Khan, most people in the company like him. He recently did an interview. Vince McMahon likes him. He's made Vince McMahon a lot of money with the media rights negotiations in 2018. He made him a lot of money last year, and he helped the company a lot during the pandemic, save a lot of money, still post record revenues and record profits, despite the world going crazy at the time with the pandemic. Nick Khan helped make that happen. So maybe Nick Khan might stay as the chief executive officer. Okay. But all roads lead to Vince McMahon once again becoming head of creative. That's where we're heading, folks. And whilst Vince McMahon tries again to continue this hostile takeover of the company, whilst he continues to try and grab more power than he ever had before, more accusations will come out. And on the backdrop of all of this is what's totally wild about all of this. In the backdrop, he's apparently back to WWE to pursue a sale of the business. You've got a situation where stories like this are coming out. Multiple settlements, multiple accusations. And again, just because there are multiple allegations, it doesn't mean that he's guilty. You know, you are innocent until proven guilty. That's the society. That's the situation. But at the same time, what business, what entity, what organization would be willing to do business with WWE at the moment in terms of paying them billions of dollars? And most importantly, this is the key thing too, most importantly, keeping Vince McMahon around. We have said in multiple videos here on the channel, in my opinion, the sale of the company is a means to an end, i.e., the caveat to it all will be, I will sell you this company. You can buy it, $6 billion, whatever it is. I will let you purchase this company under one proviso. That is that I stay around. I have to stay around. It's my company. I'm the founder of it, and I know what's going on, but I will not sell to you. I will block any transaction unless you guarantee in writing that you can be the owners, but I run everything. I have all of my old roles back. I'm the chairman, I'm the CEO, I'm the head of creative until the day I die or the day I decide I don't want to do this anymore. I'm in charge. And the curious thing is, with these kind of allegations, with these kind of stories continuing to float around, the question really then becomes, what kind of organization, what kind of business is going to want to keep around Vince McMahon with all of this baggage? And that's what the board of directors also said to him in that letter. We don't think you coming back is best for business, not just because everything's been fine, if not better without you. You know, television ratings are up, ticket sales are up, critics, people are enjoying the product more, people are happier. You know, things are fine without you. The sky didn't fall because Vince McMahon retired, which was this weird thing put out there for years. Oh, when Vince leaves, the company's going to be in major trouble. And it wasn't. Life went on. The sun rose and set, and WWE is fine, and their stock price continued to climb. Yes, it was based on speculation of a sale, but still, they were fine. Vince saw that and said, I don't care, I'm coming back. And now, by coming back and saying what's all on the basis of selling the company, the stock price, of course, has soared. And he's trying to claim that's because of him. Oh, look at this. See? It's Wall Street reacting to Vince McMahon being back. Damn it. I should be in charge of everything once again. No. And to me, this story, whilst monumental that he settled once again, and at this point he's now had settlements in the tens of millions of dollars in regarding sexual misconduct and sexual allegations, this is, for me, the board of directors saying, this is a pushback. This is a fight back from the board of directors. What it will really do, I don't know. Is it a veiled threat by the board of directors saying this is just the beginning? It gets way, way worse than this. We can release way more. If you want to do this, if you want to strong harm the company into bringing you back, if you want to change company bylaws, this is what we're going to do. I don't know. But for me, it feels like just the beginning, and certainly a big story. And of course, if we get more details on it, we'll let you know here on the channel. So be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well, bottom right-hand corner. Let me know your thoughts about this this settlement between Vince McMahon and Rita Chatterton in the comment section below. And I'll speak for you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.